This is Do By Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and Max Temkin. This week's challenge, download and use the app Replica.
Someone fucked this whole thing up, Alex. I think they they unplugged some stuff.
Check the logs. Check the logs. Look at the video feed. Somebody's been noodling with your business. They shut down a local hand job place.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Why are you up on all that? Wait, we shouldn't record. We shouldn't say anything funny.
What?
No, it's not for the show.
Why are you up on all the hand job news?
There's so many hand job places in my neighborhood, and everybody knows it.
I had a friend come visit from out of town, and he told me that he had mentioned casually in conversation to me that somewhere in my neighborhood he went and got a hand job at a hand job place.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I had a college friend.
Don't tell me who it was.
No, you don't know them.
Okay,
it was a college friend who
good,
came and stayed with me a couple years ago, and I was like working, and I was like, "What'd you
I bet
do?" And
his
he's
name
like,
was
"Oh, I went to a hand job."
Was it Brad or Jeremy?
Brendan.
Brendan.
Trent.
Went over to La Hândjobberie.
Yeah, and he was like, "I found a place in your neighborhood." I was like, "What do you mean you found a place in my neighborhood? In my neighborhood?"
Is there a site for that?
I don't know. I wouldn't know where to get a hand job if my life depended on it.
I know.
There was totes a site for this, and that's one way to see. Yes, there was this PHP BB style forum.
All right, podcast begin.
We have all of that audio still.
No,
It's
none
fine.
of that hand job stuff is going in.
Well,
all right,
okay.
here's the situation, guys.
ChicagoHandjobs.com.
Here's
There used
the thing.
to be a site. There used to be a site. And like I say, it was a PHP BB style forum where it was like Craigslist for hand jobs. And so you could go in and you could find places and they would be identified with the address and everything. And then people would go in and give reviews of the various Hândjobbiers inside the place. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in from out of town, you could just go in and drill into pardon my saying, you could drill down to a certain neighborhood and find out, what it was like. And the FBI shut them down. But that used to be an easy way.
It was
on Yelp. On Yelp, it'll just say it as well.
Hand jobs as a service.
Yeah.
No.
Hândjobs. But it'll just say on Yelp, it'll say this place is well known as a brothel. We get the trafficking. We get it all. It's bad.
Here's the situation, guys. I have to go. I have a doctor's appointment at.
Oh no.
Let me look at my schedule here. That's what Mike Hurley would say. I have a doctor's appointment at 2:15, so I think we'll be okay. But
I hope that we'll be done.
I think we'll be okay.
Oh God!
Me running late plus the technical difficulties.
It's 11:30 a.m.
No,
we
we'll be
are
all right.
gonna be fine.
Okay, we'll be all right. But I should go at like 1:45
Yes.
or so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we spent time talking about that.
So you could go in, you can find out. It'll say, this one was not very good. And they'll describe their bosoms. And they'll say that in this case, this one lady was getting floppy. Hand jobs are going downhill. Should have picked Nikki this time. That's the kind of thing it would say. And that's the place near my work. So my daughter and I were
I
going
can hear
to the
Merlin,
zoo
but not
the other
us
day.
still.
And we walked by a place, a spa.
No.
And there's this giant, really shaming sort of government document on the door with giant red stickers, and it's like, this place is closed for the next 90 days. It's been shut down. So they put the lid on the hand jobs.
Why are you sharing this?
Yeah, I don't want to know this, but
Okay.
but anyway.
But it's my neighborhood. Now, when you found out there was a Hândjobberie in your neighborhood, you found it very troubling.
Oh, I don't know where. I still don't know where
Who was it that got a job?
I don't know. I don't want none of this is. I don't want any of this to go in.
Okay, but how would you feel? How would you feel if a place you walk by every day, maybe near where you get your muffin or your pretzel, you find out there's a Hândjobberie? You find people standing outside. Let's just say, what's your phrase for it? An absolute unit standing outside in a Cubs jacket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wants to go in and get a foot massage. You know what I'm saying?
A huge lad.
Huge lad. I love his pockets. They're so broad. Love my curvy hotelier.
All right, everybody. Welcome to It's Do By Friday, the podcast where we don't talk about the hand job places in Merlin's neighborhood.
So many. Did I ever tell you there are so many hand job
Merlin,
places?
you're breaking up a little bit
Yep,
there.
yep.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
the crackle's back. Oh
Yeah,
no!
I don't
Oh no!
Listen, so I discovered a new treat that I really like. So let me describe this treat, and then do you have them, Merlin?
Yeah, you sent them to my house.
But you don't have them at hand.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right.
No, but it was very, very sweet and strange, and my family was entirely bewildered about why we'd received a crate of snacks.
Oh, well, because I
said,
I was like, here, I'm sending you these for the podcast.
You sent me 3 packages in the last week, and I'm like, what is going on? Are you dying? What's happening?
Wait, what else did I send? Oh, I sent you the little instrument. Mm-hmm. Wait, I need some note. Hang on. I need my Merlin Man note cards.
Wait.
Do we have any?
I hope I didn't blow out your settings.
This has all got to go on the stack. Look, it's a whole pile of topics that aren't hand job places in our neighborhoods that we can talk about.
Do you know how
Merlin.
there are so many? They call them spas, or they'll have like a big picture of a foot, and they'll say massage.
So you're breaking up again there. Now listen to this. What's that? Look at that. I got a little back to work.
Sound
effect
you
there.
Very
PDA.
kindly sent me so much nice Cards Against Humanity stuff for us to give away for our school auction. Thank you so much. You're incredibly generous.
You're very welcome. All right, so I want to talk about my treats.
Technically,
card number
I
one,
sent 2 of those. Or was it?
But it was my idea, so
all right.
I get the credit.
It was definitely your idea to send the OP1.
I want to talk about the OP1. It's a free choice made of my own volition.
Yep.
I want to talk about. Let's see here. What else? What other topics do we want to cover today, guys?
You guys go right past my important follow-up at the top of the document.
We have some Starbucks. I have an Edward Snowden-esque document dump from the Starbucks Corporation to share.
Oh my God! Yes. Can I do one quick thing before you take off with your cards?
Uniform. Let's see. I got a new credit card. We could talk about that.
Is it one of those weird ones with the number on the back?
Yeah, I've got a bit prepared for that. And then...
all right.
I'm being serious.
I rehearsed it.
Who doesn't like chapters now?
Sorting and purging digital files.
Can I eat my treat now?
Well, hang on. Now we're not on the.
Okay.
I'm still in the part where I make the cards.
Are we gonna do? We can't do my card.
What's your card? No, I'll put it on the stack. What's your card, Merlin?
I want to say thanks to Mr. Max's dad for our very special emergency episode of the show that people wouldn't know about.
Oh, right.
We did. Can you tell people what we did, because people seem to like it?
Yes. So basically, what transpired was on last week on the podcast. I really had one of the greatest moments of my life, and I did this card trick, and it made Merlin so upset. And it was, I went back and listened to it, and it made me laugh, and I was there when it happened. Like, it was a very funny, good moment of the podcast.
Very, very well done.
And it was just good. It was just like good audio. Like, it was very exciting, and you guys had great reactions.
We also invented big tennis, which is going to be huge.
You guys reacted like when David Blaine does a magic trick for black people on the street.
Black people be getting magic like this.
People get very excited when there's street magic, and they throw their hats on the ground and they stomp around and they scream. Like, Alex got up and hit a gong. Like, it was very exciting.
Have them call their mom on their flip phone. Oh my God.
So anyway, then I told people, I said, listen, this was last week. I said, listen, we do every episode every week we record a second whole episode of Due by Friday. It's a premium episode. You give us $5 a month. You get the access to the RSS feed with all of our extra episodes. That's sort of like the after show for Due by Friday. You can go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com to sign up and learn more.
We gossip about our friends. We talk about the next challenge. It's a great opportunity to find out what you can do to
participate and you got to pay, so nobody really listens to it. So this is like that. Listen, Merlin, that's really the venue where you talk about the hand job places in your neighborhood. If you want.
Sorry, I'll save it for the show.
If there's something you got to get, if you have, if there's
so many in my neighborhood.
Let's just say that you have big, heavy balls full of content, and you just have to, empty them into the podcast. It would happen in the after show, not in the main show.
One RSS feed is not enough for a full release.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, what I said is, last week I said, listen, I said, go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com and I'll tell you how I did the trick. And it was a little upsell. And then we did the whole after show, and I didn't do that. And because I got self-conscious about it.
You were so happy with the fact that I was very upset that you then didn't want to let me off the hook.
But also, listen, like
4 days. I lived for 4 days without knowing how you did it.
Magic tricks are never satifying. Like, when you learn how it's done,
they're mostly
like,
tricks.
Like, fuck you. Like, that's not, I can't believe that's what took me. So I didn't want to ruin the moment. But anyway, we did have like 100 new people sign up for the Patreon, and they were expecting to learn how the trick was done, and they didn't get that. So we reconvened over the weekend, and we recorded another emergency bonus episode, and I invited my dad, Mr. Temkin, to come on, and he's well known as a lecturer about magic at Northwestern University. And
it's what is it? It was the physiognomy of misdirection or something?
There were some made-up words thrown in there, I think. But anyway,
Professor.
But anyway, we had Professor Temkin on. He talked about the trick and gave it away. And you can, I mean, of course, anyone can just go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com. You pay $5. You find out how the trick was done. But was that it?
I just want to say it was great. Your dad called in from a very loud flea market, and it was nice to have him on. He's on. I want to be friends with your dad. I don't want to be creepy.
He was so good. He should replace me every week.
Why do I even defend you? Why do I go out and try to? I know what upsets you, Max.
So what
I know what
was,
upsets you.
Let me tell the story. Okay.
Oh no! Don't tell the story. No.
So someone on Twitter was doing a joke, and they were trying to be funny, and they were like, "Oh, Max's dad was so funny.
A little bit hurtful.
He should replace Max every week on the podcast." And I don't know. It doesn't. On the scale of abuse that I get online, this was
the kinds of things you're willing to admit to. That's not even going to figure.
That doesn't bother me at all. But it was it was a little bit off. You know what it was? It wasn't mean. It was tone deaf. It was tone deaf. A lot of enthusiastic Twitter responses. It's not that they're mean. It's just they're tone deaf. Just think. Just say it out loud in your head before you post it publicly for the whole world to see.
I imagine you're saying it to a stranger who doesn't know you.
But then anyway, Merlin felt like this guy was like calling me out on Twitter, and so
that's not what I said.
On his wildly popular podcast, Roderick on the Line.
I said sometimes people are unintentionally a little bit hurtful when they think they're being funny.
You said, I quote from Roderick on the Line, you said, these liberal snowflakes, they need their safe spaces, and they do call out culture to each other.
That's why I'm wearing a diaper right now. I'm poning the libs.
Yeah.
and you
and pop alt-right personality John Roderick were... You called him out on your podcast, but you did the thing, Merlin, it's like you gazed too long into the abyss. The abyss gazes back into you.
I'm better than the abyss. I didn't gaze into anything. I had a remark to John. John, another friend of mine who gets very upset about these things. And all I said was sometimes people can be a little bit hurtful. And I'm inclined sometimes to say, that was a little bit hurtful.
Yeah, but what about your hurtful comments to the guy?
I wasn't making comments to the guy. I didn't mention him by name. Some friend of his heard the show and said, go listen to this. And then we had a nice resolution last night. And then you tried to double, triple shame me by calling me out for calling out when there was no calling out.
No,
I'm not doing I'm breaking I'm breaking the cycle of violence.
Why do you guys keep talking about hand jobs?
Hang on a second, Merlin. I'm breaking the cycle of violence because I'm not mad. It's all funny to me.
Is this part of the anti-bullying campaign? Is that what this is? Are you a Melania head?
Get Melania on the line.
Hello.
All right. Well. All right. Let's see. Card number 1, the treats. So
thanks to Mr. Temkin for being on. Mr. Manager Man.
Indeed. All right. So let's see. Card number 1, popping off the stack here. Well, I discovered a new treat. You guys know how excited I get about treats, and I gave my official endorsement to the what was that thing?
This thing?
Kombucha?
The Chicago mix was the last one. I got really into the
right.
Chicago mix, and I ate so much of it that I made myself sick, and now I don't enjoy it so much. And now I have a new one that I'm very excited about, which is their Italian Italian wafer
kombucha.
cookies.
They're very, very small.
They're very small. They're very snackable. Like what's good about these is you can eat 50 of them. You could just keep going and going and going on them. But they're called quadratini, and the flavor.
Yeah.
Veronica and I found these in an Italian grocery store. And she got a disgusting coconut flavor that tastes like it's injected with suntan lotion. But I, on the other hand, because I'm a genius, I got a delicious black currant flavor. And I think this is the best cookie I've had. I think it's one of the best treats I've had in years.
It's very distinctive. And when you said that they were wafer cookies like the ones of my youth, I was imagining it was those bars that are maybe like 3-4 inches wide and long and an inch wide.
So these are the
size of a postage stamp, and they got little dingleberry taste in it. They're good.
So it's got intermixed layers of sort of flavorless, crisp foam that dissolves away to nothing on your tongue, and then like frosting.
Mm-hmm. And
the frosting is black currant flavor. So I thought I bought one bag for everyone, but actually I bought one carton for everyone.
You bought a crate. We have mini bags of dingleberry treats.
Yeah, I did get a lot of these. So, Alex, do you want to open this up and try it?
So this may contain hazelnuts, so I might be off this podcast real quick.
Wait,
They do indeed.
What happens if you eat a hazelnut?
I go use my EpiPen.
Oh, wait a minute now.
Nope, it's happening.
Wait.
Anaphylactic.
Wow, that would be very exciting.
Isn't it unusual, Alex?
Yes.
but not too weird.
Oh, the aftertaste is very interesting. No, this is definitely something if I saw in a store, I would not
I know.
like pick this up, but it is very...
It looks like an old lady treat. Like, you know what I mean? One of those weird things that...
100%. I'm drinking. I have right here. I have a
so
thermos.
sweet.
I have a thermos of herbal raspberry zinger tea. And
Oh my God, that's what I drink.
Really?
I make that every... Did you know I make that every day?
No, but it's really fucking good.
I make a pitcher. I don't like the raspberry. I like the classic red zinger. I make a pitcher of red zinger iced tea every day.
Well, that's
Look
a
at
good
that. We're
hack.
buddies. We're tea buddies.
So there's no caffeine. I mean, why do
No.
you do that instead of water?
Do you care?
Yeah.
Okay, I do both. One thing I'm doing is I'm trying to get off coffee as a thing I have to have every day. So when I get up in the morning, I take a caffeine pill. I drink a bunch of seltzer.
I'm sure that's fine.
You guys done? You about done?
Wait. Okay, now I'm good.
Okay, because I'm seeing here. Look at my fingers. I'm disassociating the caffeination from the. Did you see what friend of the show, Farad Manju? Did you see what he did with coffee beans?
No.
He did a tremendous life hack. You should follow him on Twitter. Here's what he does. So he undertook this thing of saying, okay, look, because he's like he is. And he's like, I want to drink less coffee. I want to drink less, like have to drink less coffee. I want less caffeine. And over time, he started with a mix of 100% caffeinated beans and slowly started changing the ratio of the amount of decaffeinated beans in with the caffeinated beans. And he basically tapered off caffeine while still enjoying coffee. I thought that was really smart. In my case, yeah, caffeine pill. I mean, it's okay. It's like a cup of coffee, but like, because I think I told you about this. I had one day when I was getting back into the Zinger tea a week or two ago. I don't know if I mentioned. No, I mentioned it on Roderick. I accidentally went a whole day without caffeine, without realizing it. And when I realized it was when I woke up at about 12:30 a.m. with a pounding migraine.
Yes, this happened to me the other day, and I'm like, "What's happening? And like with Rascal,
You may not notice that you're not as energized, but like your body is
I
like,
thought
well,
I was
buddy,
gonna die.
not so fast. It's the worst. It's so the worst.
I did
Red
not
Zinger
realize.
tea is so good.
Yeah.
I make it super strong. You know how many bags I use? You don't want to know. 8 bags.
Wait,
8 bags for 1 quart.
I'm interested now because
I got a
I've
method.
been
You want to hear the
enjoying
method?
your.
I got a method.
Yeah. Now,
Yes, I want your method.
Do you make it hot and then you put ice?
Oh, buddy, are you ready to have your mind blown?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, you get yourself this you can get this off the Amazon. You can get this really nice, super heavy duty Rubbermaid pitcher. It's a giant 2-quart pitcher. So I boil the water, and this will accommodate boiling water. This is pretty cool. I put in 8 bags of tea and pour in about just to under the 1 quart mark. I let it steep. Do I let it steep 5 minutes? Fuck that in the eye. I let it steep probably 15 minutes. I don't fucking care. I stir it around with a wooden spoon. It's got to be wooden. It's like caviar. You remove the bags. You put them in the compost like a gentleman. Now, you go into the freezer. What are you going to do? You going to put ice in there? I don't think so.
No.
You take your daughter's freezer pack, lunch pack things, the little frozen like squares or discs of frozen material. I put 4 of those into the iced tea thing. And now you've got super strong tea undiluted by ice. You let it chill a little bit. You put it over a large, like a pint glass full of ice, and you have delicious, super strong Zinger tea.
I used to be very much a tea person until I realized that I like hot water just as much, like Steve Jobs. But you are supposed to make the tea is going to be iced, it is supposed to be a lot stronger. So good job, Merlin.
Yes.
But I want to know your life hacks for getting off caffeine, because with the Rascal diet, you can just stop eating wheat. And now I realize that this quadratini does indeed have wheat. So this is the first time. It's very good. I miss this a whole lot.
I think one thing is.
But how do I get off caffeine?
Well, one thing I've heard for a long time, and we should. There's a back to work listener that schooled me about what's it called, glucocorticoids, but it's basically the stress hormones that you have in the morning. According to what it is said, that when you first wake up in the morning, you actually are kind of fairly stimulated as it is. It doesn't benefit you that much to have coffee super early, I guess, unless you really need it. It takes about 20-25 minutes for caffeine to really hit your system, even though it feels like it's sooner. But the first tip I heard is, like, if you're drinking 2 cups of coffee in the morning, try just drinking 1 a little later, even if it's a big cup. That's one. But my idea is, like, I just sometimes I go through a phase where I love coffee so much, but then at some point it just doesn't taste good to me anymore, and I feel like the effects are diminished, and then I feel like a junkie. I don't like that. So, yeah, I mean, you could take half a caffeine pill and drink a bunch of water. It's a good idea to drink a bunch of water in the morning anyway, I think. But that's one. So what's your main source of caffeine, Alex? Oh, you drink the energy drinks. I was
walking into. So, okay, I've been very good about it. I always taper off energy drinks after, like, we have a busy season or whatever. So I haven't had an energy drink in a while. But I do have my daily either 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. Diet Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
that's not so bad.
It's not so bad, but even that amount is apparently enough caffeine to make you feel like garbage if you don't have it by 5 p.m.
So fact check, Max, is that accurate?
Well,
in the past, you've been forthcoming about calling her out in the way that you do.
I've got my thing right here. I'll make a Merlin noise.
Alex is drinking a Diet Coke right now.
Yes,
I was looking over to see if there was one of those.
11 a.m. or 2 p.m.
I was going to see if there was one of those foul orange kickstart.
Is this one of those mango
beverages.
ones that makes you dance like a black lady? Oh, Super Bowl. So yeah, but I think you can taper off.
Did you guys watch that Super Bowl?
You sure did.
Really?
It was a hell of a game.
Where? How?
Oh God, I watched it on Hulu.
Oh, I saw you were complaining on Twitter about you were doing another one of your famous Merlin Man call-outs.
One of my patented rant. Yeah, that's me always calling people out. That's pretty much
you were saying that your live Hulu didn't work.
Well, no. I mean, it was really.
You just watched it alone with the family?
Watched it alone with the family. Yes, but that would be 3 people watching the game. Correct, alone. And
but
so,
you didn't go to some big Super Bowl party.
I don't go places. I don't have time to go places.
Did you do a thing, Alex?
No, I lied and said I had work.
Oh.
But no, seriously, it got to the clock, and I had to explain to my daughter how football time is not real time because she really wanted to watch Portlandia, and I was like, no, like this is it's 1 minute, but 1 minute's really like with all the when you get into 3 minutes, especially like no, there's the 2-minute warning. And they still have some timeouts left. And plus, anytime you run out of bounds, there's all kinds of things that are silly about football. But seriously, I feel like it was probably with maybe a minute left. And it was a very exciting time in the game. You get the classic Hulu blip where like if you're watching Hulu and like you're watching MSNBC, there's a blip at the top of the hour when it pops over to the next show.
Were you following football prior to this? Or were you just...
No, I hate football.
But you just watched the game.
Yeah, because I really wanted the Patriots to lose. And so...
why is that? Why does everyone... Why? I mean, I clearly understood that was the take on Twitter, was that everyone didn't like the Patriots.
The Patriots are like the Dallas Cowboys of football. They're way too popular among people who like winning teams.
They're too popular among people who like winning teams. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And also Trump likes them.
They're the Washington Generals.
He's an ladder.
I don't... is this a sports meme?
Yeah, remember? God damn it! Yeah. Krusty the Clown loses all the money because he's been betting on the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, okay. See, well, we need to have Simpson. Let's talk Simpsons in the after show. I have many. Okay. Yeah. All right.
No, but this is so this is where this is like a perfect storm because it's the big game. It's the end of the big game. It's a very, very exciting time in the game, and it does a little blip, and then it goes. Oh, guess what? You're not watching this anymore. And now the thing is, it's sort of like the old days of TiVo before TiVo got good and you would have to like make sure you added extra time because it might run long. Well, it got to the end of the point when Hulu thought the Super Bowl should be on and suddenly you couldn't get to it from anywhere. And you're going, ha, ha, ha. And I'm running around in this terrible, terrible, godforsaken app. It's a terrible app trying to make just the app work. And I'm trying all these different ways because sometimes if you come at a show from a different direction, you have different rights and privileges. If something's on right now, you can watch it. But if you try to watch it in your My Stuff area and it's not time for Rachel Maddow to air again, you can't watch it then. You got to come in another way. It's the worst. It's the worst. So, I mean, and the thing is, I could give a fuck about football, but I was into the game. I can't imagine if you were somebody who was actually watching that as a giant Eagles fan, I would have lost my mind.
Were you watching it, Max?
No.
I wouldn't even know where to, like, I don't want to yuck on Merlin's yum, because I get very happy when other people are happy. And I was actually in Ireland when the Cubs won the World Series, and I was sad because all of my friends were excited and the city was happy, so I was happy.
I'm just watching it like a TV show, Alex. This does not reveal anything about my personality except that I watched a football game. I'm not a sports person.
I know you're not a sports ball person, but I just enjoy,
believe me, I hear about it.
Don't you get excited when San Francisco teams, I don't know what they're called,
I
like,
literally could not care less. If there were any more care for me to not have, I would have lost it a lot.
Well, I'm actually at the point where I actively like to the extent that I care at all, I usually root for the Chicago teams to lose because it's kind of an imposition on my life when they win.
It's going to hurt traffic, right?
Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Like if there's like basically if the Cubs win a
The
lot,
city just shuts down for a while.
I sincerely hope that Kara's not listening to this. But if the Cubs win a lot, they do more games. That's the problem with
Also, just
sports.
knowing in your heart that a bunch of sweaty men aren't happy just makes you feel good.
Well, specifically Cubs fans in Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
They're the worst element in our city. We're way off track on our note cards, guys.
All right, let's go back to the stack.
All right. We're way off program here. Next item on the stack.
Thank you for the treats.
I sent. You're welcome. Well, so does anyone have anything else to add about these treats?
There, again, this is the first gluten I've eaten in a long time. It's really fucking good. I don't know if I'm enjoying it.
It's not my kind of thing, but they're very good for what they are. I thought they were really good. I would
Okay.
recommend them for people who like stuff like
Wait,
this.
is black currant a real thing? Because I think I would enjoy this fruit.
Actually, we're saying African American now. It's I think it's a kind of a berry. It's a dingleberry, I believe.
Very good. It's very tart. Dig Dug,
Oh,
Max,
man.
do you have more postcard?
Yeah, next postcard.
Notecards, whatever.
Merlin, I sent you the little piano that you talked about on Roderick on the Line, the OP1. I think
Yeah.
you had to do a little brain surgery. You had to update its like firmware to get it to turn on.
Yeah, I had to do like a couple hours of surgery, but yeah, I hope I didn't blow out your settings or anything. But yeah, it needed you said it had been off for a long time. And
Oh, yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy troubleshooting I tried, and I finally figured out what the little recovery mode is, where you go into like a shell, and all it needed was a firmware update. But
Cool.
it's really, really cool. I kind of want one now. It's really, I don't need it at all, but it's
Yeah.
so cool.
I get one of these things. Like mostly this one I got because it was such a cool design object.
If
and I
it was
like,
half that price, I would probably
know,
pick it
it's
up.
so-
But it's kind of costly.
well, it's an amount of money that you feel bad about yourself if you get it. A lot of music.
But the problem is if you're my age and you think about like when the SK1 came out, it was such a huge deal. Like when Casio made
What is
a
that?
really shitty sampling, it's a little sampling keyboard that was like $50. It was such a huge deal because even just like 3 years earlier, you needed like a Fairlight. Or, I remember when I was in high school, my friend saved up for like almost a year to buy an analog synthesizer. And the DX7 came along and all this stuff. But the truth was, like when Frank Zappa or like Herbie Hancock, when they were doing that, stuff with was it Synclavier? No, what's it called? But yeah, like a Fairlight, like a CM1 or whatever. People using those were like $10,000, $20,000 for a sampling keyboard. This thing, for $1,000, is a recording studio, a synthesizer, a drum machine, a sampler, and it's very complicated but very well implemented. So like I looked at the manual and I discovered the thing where like whatever mode you're in on screen, the colors cue you to what you do with the dials to change it.
Right.
And it's actually surprisingly intuitive to use, and somebody with some talent could basically record music on this. It's crazy.
If you want to really feel bad about yourself after you play with it for a few hours, go on like YouTube and look at people, look at like songs that are performed and composed on it.
I mean,
Somebody
entire albums are made on it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the idea of having a 4-track recording studio, a drum machine, a sampler, a synthesizer, having all of that in this one thing is I mean, yeah, it's expensive, it's costly, but that's just mind-boggling for somebody in my age.
Yeah, I periodically get these things, and then I'm like, oh, usually what it comes down to is like, I should learn how to write music in Ableton because, like, I have not for any, well, no,
challenge.
not a challenge.
Is Ableton costly?
Yes.
Well, actually, like, no, you can get it for, like, you get it for free if you buy music stuff. Like, most music stuff gives you
And
Ableton.
Ableton is like what people use when they play live? Is that what it's for?
No, it's
can
just
be-
a DAW. It's just a, what do you say, DAW or DAW? It's the same thing as Logic, but then it also has a mode where you can perform it live.
Okay.
Like based on like loops and
Music
stuff.
sequencer, digital audio workstation
Yeah.
for macOS and Windows.
It's the same thing as everything else, but it just has like a good like live performance thing. But it's what all my friends use. Everyone I know who writes music writes in Ableton. But anyway, I spent a couple hours not a couple. I've spent a lot of hours poking around in Ableton trying to figure it out, and I just can't fucking figure it out. And
I still can't figure out Logic. I still do all my podcasts in GarageBand just because Logic feels so bizarre.
Figured out what I was doing wrong in Logic.
Well, I know Logic. I know really well, and it was just like 100 hours of banging my head against the wall. For me, like I learned software kind of like an idiot. Like I just click on every button and then figure out what it does and Google it, and eventually you spend enough time with it and you kind of get a feeling of how the UI is put together.
The problem with some of these apps is like that once you've used it, I've always felt this about Photoshop, where there's this beyond 80-20 principle, where like when you go into like what was called filters, I haven't used it in probably 10 years, but when you go into whatever filters and you're like, oh my God, even in Acorn, I'm like kind of overwhelmed by how much stuff is in there, but I use exactly 3 of those. I mean, like when I'm doing Roderick on the Lion art, it's hard to know where to focus your efforts because there's so many options that all seem equally
I can tell you in like Illustrator, for example, like every professional designer in the world uses a tool in Illustrator called the Pathfinder tool, and there's I think 8 or 12 different options of basically how to knock one vector shape out of another vector shape. And I talk to designers about this all the time, and nobody knows which button to press. Like the only way to do it is you just press all of them, and eventually you hope one of them works. And like that's what I do. That's what everybody does. Like nobody understands how that thing works, and it's like one of the key tools in Illustrator. So I feel like a lot of tradespeople have this relationship with software where they're like, and listen, like that's the deal with like. I mean, I don't know that a lot of people use those like filter effects in Photoshop a lot, but I don't know. I personally don't use them very much, but nobody knows what they do. Like you just click on all of them and hope that it's the right one. Or you know what? The same fucking thing in Photoshop with blend modes. Have you guys ever gotten into layer blend modes?
Oh my God. It's so crazy. You just keep doing them until it does the thing you want.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I don't know send me a tweet if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think any living designer knows what the blend modes are. You just keep doing them and then you're like, that's probably the right one, and then you stop when it looks right. But anyway, so I periodically get a music device because I think it has cool industrial design, or I don't know, or I play with friends, and I'm like, I have to have this. And that was the deal with the OP1. And like the
it's
problem
really
is,
solid. It feels so good just to hold in your hand. It's a beautiful piece of industrial design.
Yeah. The problem is that
it's hard to use.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I know what the functions are. Like, I can read the manual and figure it out, but I don't have any talent, so I can't use the 4-track recorder to put something together. Because, like, what I try to do is, like...
significant talent.
Yeah, that's the problem, is because I'll try to, like, do, like, a drum loop and then, like, play, like a lead synth or something, and I can't fucking get it to line up. And then it's just like, okay, delete it, do it again, delete it, do it again, delete it, do it again. And then eventually I'm just like, no, fuck this. Like, I have a life to live, and I walk away from it. So I think what I need to do is put that stuff into Ableton, where you have like more control and you can like, I think that's how people do it, isn't that right? Like you record it and then you basically like line it up in Ableton.
Well, here's a question.
Nobody nails it on their first try, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I'm specifically asking Merlin this because you know how to do this stuff.
I have no idea. I know of Ableton Live because I've heard Jonathan Colton talk about it.
But how do you record
anything?
Let's say you wanted to record drums and a lead synth. What software would you use to do that?
Electronically or like with devices?
Whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, stuff I've done in GarageBand.
You line it up.
You just record it. You record it until it sounds pretty good. You might want to do some quantization to like make sure it's on the beats and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's about it. I used to, I mean, for a while, especially in the days when sponsors were compensating us to do this, to have me write songs, like my funny little dumb songs. My challenge was every time was go up to 8 tracks, make the entire thing on an iPad, see until I just couldn't do it on an iPad or I needed to add vocals. And that was really fun. I mean, when iPad first got GarageBand, it was revelatory. So if you go back and you listen to the MailChimp stuff or the Squarespace stuff, I mean, the song that sounds like Husker Du, the song that sounds like New Order, the song that sounds like the Smiths, all of those songs were almost entirely done on an iPad. And then I added electric and acoustic guitar, fake bass with a guitar, and vocals. But other than that, you can go that crazy Husker Du one. You can go see. Actually, I should find this for you, Alex. You can see how many. I started with 8 tracks, and I eventually ended up with like 30. But all the primary stuff was done on an iPad.
Do you ever play around with synths on iOS? Like I've gotten really into Figure 8. I think it's actually just called Figure now. I don't know. It's just. Here's my thing that I've always had an issue with music, whether it's writing or playing it. I don't like to, unlike most things, I don't really like to fiddle around. It's like, okay, I want to accomplish this one thing, and then I know how to do that one thing really well, but I couldn't explain it or teach anybody else how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Max, are you just like, I want to play this to learn this, or do you have a specific goal in mind when you start getting the fun
No,
toys?
it's just I just want to play with it. Like it's just a toy. But the problem is I don't have enough talent to line the tracks up. So
You gotta just make the bleep bloops.
I'm going to play with it more, and I'm going to really fight. Check your text, Alex. I'm going to really fight the thing in me that says to get one of these because I don't know what I would do with it. Did you ever hook it up? I hooked it up to GarageBand, and I couldn't make it MIDI. It just wanted to do whatever the instrument was in GarageBand. But
you mean no? That is MIDI. You mean so it's MIDI controlling?
I mean, MIDI in the sense that if grand piano was selected in GarageBand,
right.
you would play grand piano.
But what you want is. And I think I did figure out how to do this in Ableton, is what you want is for the synth that you... That's the magic of the OP1, is that its synth generation is so good and so cool.
You can tweak it to like pretty much exactly how you want with those four knobs.
It is bonkers. You get such cool sounds. It has such a cool synth generator. So I think like what you need to do is like record it into Ableton, but then I'm so bad at that, like I don't know how to play the piano, and I'm so bad at doing it, and I have no sense of rhythm that then I need to adjust it so it like works. It's like on the beats and all of that, and that's the part where I just don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Oh, the beat stuff, the quantization can help a lot with that. Quantization, you just go in and say like try to like basically snap to the beats where it can, and it usually can do a pretty good job if you're not horribly off. GarageBand even does that.
Yeah. Oh man, I know how much you love Reddit, Merlin, but they've got there's a bunch of
I unblocked
subreddits
it from Google. I can see it now.
Oh, good. Yeah, there's a bunch of OP1 subreddits. That's very cool.
Nice. Do they hate women?
Haven't gotten that deep yet. I'm sure eventually. Yeah. Our hands are too small to. Did
you see my tracks, Alex? Did you see all my tracks?
Oh my gosh! I think this is. So is this the Husker Du one?
Yes, the Husker Du one.
This is more tracks than they ever. I know.
I had to get it. I went in and I actually. So I did the basic beats in GarageBand, but then I went in and you can go in and hand tweak each beat. Like you can like change these. Each beat is hand tweaked. One block at a time.
What Stadium Solo is that? Oh,
That's
see.
one of the
I see.
guitar settings.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, this is. Oh, is this
three acoustic guitars, 5 electric guitars? Right, there's 2 more basses.
Oh, I need to put this. Well, you basically made an EP for. Was this one MailChimp or
this one was
Squarespace? Yeah, I need to find those. But
the Smiths one turned out pretty
good.
funny, and the New Order one does sound, I think, a little bit like New Order.
It does. I think the Husker Du and Smith were my favorite.
Yeah,
Merlin Mann was such a great guy. Oh,
that's hilarious. I'm such a good sport. I'm a really good sport.
Max, do you want to flip through your hipster PDA? Do we have another item in the stack?
All right. Well, I just had some follow up from our Starbucks conversation. Yes. I presented my conspiracy theory that they make the employees at the Starbucks signature store wear a hat, because my theory was that the Starbucks, the people who work on these signature stores, they like went to like good coffee shops. And they were
your theory was so interesting, though, because I think what you were saying was that it was an overt attempt to create a side brand to Starbucks Prime that would appeal to people who want more fancy coffee, and that they primarily were doing it with hats and flair.
Well, that's not a theory. That's a fact. I mean, Starbucks signature stores, I've
never been to one.
I mean, they're actually, I mean, they're quite good. Like, they have I went in and had the new, like, blonde espresso, and it's really good. It's like, in a way, it's frustrating because it's like, I know that the people who make food and work at Starbucks, like, I don't know how deep down this rabbit hole we want to go, but it's like they know how to make good coffee. Like they could make great coffee at every location. And the problem is that great coffee isn't popular, and Starbucks makes popular coffee, which is like over roasted, sugary, milky milkshakes. But anyhow, But I do think that one of the main ways that they're distinguishing these reserve stores is they make all the employees wear hats. And I did get from a source from someone inside the Starbucks Corporation, a friend of the show. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who they are or not.
They said it. They put it on Twitter.
Oh, it was on Twitter? Well, who was it?
Talking about like the guide?
Yeah. Yeah. I got the Starbucks dress code thing for the reserve store, and it says... and it says under a section, page 12 of 15, there's a section called Hats. Top off your look with beanies, fedoras, and other suitable hats in brown, gray, or black, making sure they're clean and free from snags. And then it says, if your store requires you to wear hats, which I guess some stores do, Starbucks will provide you with one, or you can choose from the options below that meet regulations. A small manufacturer's logo on the side or the back is okay, but not on the front. Always wear the bill forward. So basically they have, there's a thing called Yes List, and it says fedora, bowler, baseball cap, Starbucks logo hat or visor, flat cap, newsboy, Panama, or trilby. And so what they have here is just a bunch of, on the Yes List, is a bunch of white people hats.
Yeah.
So they have little beanies and the newsboy hat and the bike messenger hat, and it shows white people wearing them. Then there's another one called the No List, and these are the bad hats that you're not allowed to wear. And it's basically a list of like black people hats. So they have like
Can you drop it into the text?
Yeah, let me send a little picture. Okay. So it says bucket hat, berets, anything with large non-Starbucks logo or patterns. And then it says like fedora with loud pattern. It's like a jungle print on it. And it says too busy, and it has a hat with an African pattern on it. It's got a bucket hat, which is a hat that I don't know that I've ever seen a white person wear a bucket hat, to be honest. And then obviously no sports teams. It says no sports teams. Right. And then it has a picture of a baseball hat with a sports logo that just says sports! Exclamation point. And I'll just say, if anyone can find me that hat that just says sports! Exclamation point, I would probably wear that hat.
It's like Marco's computers hat.
Mm-hmm. Computers, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I can't find it right now, but one of our listeners who works for Starbucks says right on his bio, sent a link. I think it's like a big PDF, a beautiful like branded thing. They also have all this stuff about shoes.
I guess if you tweeted it to us, I can say who it's from, right?
Yeah.
It's from listener Jason, who works at the Starbucks Corporation and is a friend of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
I might, know someone who also works at Starbucks, and I can say that this is also a physical handbook that they give out to all employees, and it's almost like a whatever, it's a type of thing, and like to be put on a shelf. It's very upsetting. I don't know. Like there's a fake patina on it.
It reminds me a little bit of like when you're trying to. There's this funny thing with the child and parent relationship where you like try to set up these constraints and these rules that are like reasonable and followable. And then at a certain point, in various ways, your kid becomes a lawyer, and they're looking for the loopholes. And like you go, and he's like, "Oh no, I didn't do that. I didn't touch them. I touched them with a stick. I wasn't technically touching them." And you get all this stuff, and like I wonder like how successful this is, because as with children, 80-90% will do what you tell them to do some of the time, but there's always going to be the weirdos. And I wonder if there are people who actively. You should ask your partner about this. I wonder if there are people who actually push the envelope. Actively push the envelope in like what they can get away with their funny hats.
I mean,
and
the
shoes.
teens do.
But how do you? I don't know. How do you regulate cool? You know what I mean?
Well, Starbucks has done it. They've got a list of cool hats that white people wear.
Don't wear complicated shoes. It confuses the customer. Oh, they did
the
have
patterns
a
are too
down
complex.
They have a thing about tattoos also. That's mentioned right in there.
Yeah, it says like no neck tattoos.
I wonder if at a certain point that's going to be considered. Well, I'll put it more forthrightly. I could see that very much becoming something that's considered discrimination in the next 5 years. Discrimination on the basis of body modifications.
Yeah.
No,
I don't have an opinion on that, but I would not be surprised at all if that was a case that is made.
Oh, like you can't not hire me because I have a neck tattoo.
You can't not hire me because I have, even if I'm in retail, you can't not hire me because I have neck tattoos.
Iron Man probably couldn't get a job. His, bulging chest goes through the apron.
Oh, that's a body mod.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that either, because like you're saying, like if my job is to run a store that sells old lady snacks, like my Quadratini snack, crackers, that I'm not allowed to not hire someone because they have a neck tattoo. That seems
for years
weird.
and years this kind of like, we would consider it discrimination now, but at the time it was just considered normal. Like if you had a shop where you sold fancy goods to ladies, you would only hire young women, like young, pretty women. And that wasn't even something that I don't think that was anything in the mainstream culture that anybody would object to. And I mean, for reasons that are very clear, like that really shouldn't stand as something that's just allowed.
Yeah, it shouldn't. One more victory for the men's rights movement. They're fighting the fight, the long, Merlin, it's a long fight for, what is it? The universe arcs towards justice.
The arc of the justice is long, but the universe is wide. Dodge Ram truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I can't afford
that famous Martin Luther King sermon where he's like, someday I hope this sermon is used in a car commercial.
I see black children and white children riding in the bed of a brand new 2019 Dodge Ram. I have been to the mountain, courtesy of my Dodge Ram pickup. I came down the mountain. Yeah, the thing is, the Proud Boys, it's not about racism. They're just having beers with friends,
Mm-hmm. No, they're just upset that the old lady stores won't hire a young man.
Hey, if a woman wants to go out and buy a pair of gloves, shouldn't a hot chick be selling it to her? Breakfast cereal.
Hold up. Can a Proud Boy receive a hand job? Maybe from another Proud Boy.
Oh, this is Talmudic. This is a very good
you have
question.
to do it while you recite the breakfast cereals.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So Proud Boys, let me understand this. The Proud Boys only jerk their gherkin once a month, and there has to be a woman present. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I think there are different levels.
What's the canon on that, Max? Isn't that how it works?
I
like
think
Scientology.
I think that sounds right.
No, but I mean, there's several parts to it. You don't jerk your gherkin regularly. You can't do it like, intra-monthly. Mm-hmm. Once a month, yes, you can achieve climax, and I believe a woman has to be present. Is that correct?
I heard about it on the same This American Life episode you didn't. I think that's how they explained it. Yeah.
Act 1, hand jobs. But, okay, so now the thing is, if you get a handy from a fellow Proud Boy in front of a woman, is that okay?
Huh.
We should find out. One of Starbucks has a book about this we could find.
There's some sort of, I'm sure there's some sort of Gavin McGinnis style guide where he's like, these are the yes hats and these are the no hats.
Some people have such a different idea of what constitutes a comedian. I'm frequently
try
amazed when someone is referred to.
On the Proud Boys style guide, it's like try sitting on your hand until it goes numb. That's on the yes list.
Do you have a mattress and box spring? Try putting it in between. It's a Proud Boy sandwich. Hi.
Two crispy wafer layers and a creamy frosting in between when you're done anyway.
That's a spicy meatball.
All right, new note card. We gotta keep moving. We got a very nice note from a listener who said that previously we had talked about systems in our lives for binging and purging our digital files and organizing digital files. This is something I am currently struggling a little bit with, and I could talk about that. But I thought, obviously, Merlin, we've got you here. I actually don't recall if we've ever talked about this on Do by Friday, but I did think it was an interesting topic. Possibly this could be a future challenge.
This is actually weirdly in all three of our wheels house.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I have a weird. I have weird habits of how I like to organize my files on the computer that date back to sharing a Windows 95 computer with my family, where all of my stuff had to live in one folder on the computer. Mm-hmm. And because of that, and that's how I learned how to use the computer, there are certain habits and organizational styles and folder naming conventions and hierarchies and things like that that I just did out of necessity. You cut the ends off the roast. And now
this is also, two things worth mentioning. I don't want to cut you off, but two things worth mentioning. First of all, it's difficult to talk about any of this without talking about backup, which I think we should probably set aside. Let's assume and take it as read that you're doing good backups. We could talk about that another time.
A good backup system will get everything, right?
Yeah, but I just want to say, don't go crazy on this stuff unless you have 3 good backups that you can test. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, what was my other point? There's always 2 things with me. Oh, what you're describing also is I feel like on all the platforms, you youths will not remember this, but search did not used to be such a thing.
Well, it still kind of sucks on the Mac.
It still sucks, but I mean, like at this point, with Spotlight and using the right, it's worth it to get good at Spotlight and get good at learning the different terms, like find a RAR file. Like, should RAR be in the name, or are you looking for a RAR archive file? That kind of stuff. But the thing is, you needed folder. What I'm trying to grant you here is you needed folder structures because you could not count on finding stuff by strings. You just couldn't find content. Forget about it. You're not going to find the content. You had to name things in such a way that you could have a queue to which 5 documents to open to find the thing that you wanted.
Man, well, I have what's happening here? Am I cutting in and out for you?
No.
Just for me? What the fuck is going on? Okay, I got it. Just your fucking gorillas use this studio every day. They come in and they unscrew the little adapters on the headphones so they're loose. And then I come in and I just turn them clockwise so that they're nice and tight. And I put them back in.
They do that in your studio, Max.
I can't believe that. Anyway.
Do you hear this?
Oh.
Yes.
The biggest mistake of my life getting those for the office.
Yep. These beautiful,
retractable, clicky cords. So let me describe this, Merlin. It's a plastic circle. Right? And then on one end you have a lightning thing, and on the other end you have USB. And it's short. It's like an inch long. And what you do is you pull on both ends gently, and it unspools, and it goes as long as you want, up to like a foot or two.
Oh, nice.
Do you know what I'm talking about? And then you pull it
again. You're talking about the retractable spinny boy that you can It's a very boing boing kind of thing.
I got a box of those and put them everywhere in the office. And these retractable cables will clean up all of the spaces in our office, and we'll have nice, neat, organized cables. What these fucking apes do when they come into the studio is they grab it with their fist and they pull on it and it doesn't give, and they're just pull harder and harder and harder. And then sometimes Alex and I come in and we see this sad, distended cable with stretch marks on the rubber and exposed wires coming out of it.
They chew on them. I bet they chew on them.
What are you doing, you fucking ape? Don't pull on it. If it's not giving, you look at it with your eyes. Look at it. It has a little picture on it.
Use the eyes.
And also,
it literally has directions.
But also, more to the point. It's 2018. Who hasn't seen one of these? What is wrong with you? Why can't you
Where'd the cord go?
Just gently pull on both ends with your fingers. You don't need to fucking people step on it with their foot and they put their whole weight into it and they're like, boy, this guy's really fucking stuck in here. I really got to pull on it. And they're just pulling on it with their whole body weight. And then it doesn't go back in. It doesn't click back in. And then they're like, well, I guess it's supposed to be like that. And they walk away.
Better step on it again.
God, it's just
you need a camp, guys. You need 3 cameras in that room.
Absolutely Planet of the Apes in here. And whenever we come in, there's the little adapters are unscrewed, and I have to turn them clockwise, and everything's clicking, and the headphones are unplugged, and my cords are unspooled. God damn it! Why I don't go into your office and do that? I don't understand this. What was I talking about?
Oh, you're talking about your
Files,
folder structure.
Folders, right. Okay, so here's the situation. So I kind of have a folder in the home directory called projects, and then in the projects folder, I make a folder for all of the big projects in my life. And some of them are, if you know the idea of stock and flow, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, this is useful. So I think it might be a blog post from I want to say it's from Robin Sloan or something, where I heard.
Is it like Kanban? Kind of like Kanban idea?
I don't know what that is.
That's
Kanban.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's a CGP Grey talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I read about this on a blog post, I think from Robin Sloan, and the blog post is called Stock and Flow. And basically the idea is you can think of a lot of things in your life as separating them into its useful categories to think of. Is this stock or is it flow? And stock is stuff that you always have, and flow is you have it sometimes, the next week you don't. It's done. You finish it and it's gone, right? So an example is for digital stuff for me, I have a folder in my projects directory called Cards Against Humanity, and that's basically stock, right? It's always there. There's a million subfolders and sub things within that. But then there's flow. There's this week I have some dumb shit that I'm working on, and it gets a little folder, and then when I'm done, I put it in an archive or something like that. So my projects folder is stock and flow, and that's very comfortable, and I've organized. Some of those folders literally date back to when I used a shared PC with my family in middle school. They're that old. But the problem is when you get a new Mac, it also has these folders called movies, pictures, You know what I mean? Documents. I'm not really clear. Like, what do people do? How do people use all that shit? Like, do you just put all of your pictures in pictures and you like don't know what project they belong to?
It's gotten messier over the years because, I mean, like, I'm just going to my home directory here. Command-Shift-H, by the way, very quick way to get there. Because, I mean, I think most people probably like me. Anything that's not on Dropbox, I tend to just put on the desktop and then I clean it up after a while. But music has gotten very confusing because now music is really, it's where audio stuff goes. It used to be mostly just iTunes, but like I go to music, I go to iTunes. iTunes now has iTunes Media inside of it. iTunes Media now has music downloads, Apple Music, all this different mobile applications, all this stuff. It's all really, I'm with you though, Max. It's really, it's very confusing to know where stuff should go, even without regard to thinking about how you add iCloud or Dropbox to the equation.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing that fucks me up is like, so now my projects folder has to go in Dropbox because like I need it accessible from wherever I am.
If you use more than one anything, it's crazy not to have it synced.
Yeah, you have to have it in Dropbox. So now Dropbox is like the default top level thing on my computer, and that's the other problem is on Dropbox is like it's like the main folder on my entire computer is my Dropbox folder, but then the other, which is weird because it doesn't fit in with the Mac like file structure, but then the other problem is like I have so much weird shit in Dropbox. Like I have what about all the little iOS apps that want to make a folder?
You're saying this. I literally was thinking about this yesterday about how much stuff I put at the top level. This is so embarrassing. I have so much stuff at the top level of Dropbox that I put there over 5 years ago that I have never touched, and what it mainly does is make it hard to scroll down on iOS.
What about all the shit that you have in Dropbox because you in your public folder or whatever because you used to hotlink it places? Now I'm not even sure if that even works anymore.
I don't know what to delete. I wish they hadn't changed that. That was so lame. I have so many broken links all over the place.
But here's the problem. There's like 3 things that I have in Dropbox that are they logically should not be in the same folder, right? There's no reason they should all be in the same folder, which is one, I have like my most important things in my entire life, like my projects thing, like all my work, right? That's like project folders in Dropbox. 2, I have like some of the most trivial bullshit in my life, which is basically little individual folders that apps on my iPhone want to make to store their stuff.
Oh, like /apps. But just so much ephemeral stuff where you just wanted to send something to somebody years ago.
You don't even have /apps. You have /apps, like data, /applications, and some of them don't let you change that, right? Like if you try to drag it, like seriously, if you try to drag it like out of the Elements folder and into the Apps folder, and then it's like the next time you boot the app up, it's like we couldn't find your text files in the expected directory. It's like it's so obnoxious. And then the other thing you have is all your shared stuff because everyone uses Dropbox for sharing things like we do for Do by Friday. And
where it is extremely easy to accidentally overshare. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, or I'm always completely befuddled by how sharing works in these folders. So it's like, there's like, used to be a top level folder in my thing. I mean, I no joke, I probably have 400 shared folders on Dropbox of different things that people have shared me on, right? Because in every project and aspect of my life,
little initials show up, and you're like, you do this little puzzle game where you're like, who is that?
Yeah,
who shared that with me? I have no idea.
Oh, I have shit from political campaigns from 5 years ago, right, where someone shared it with me. So it's a mess. So what I did was I made a folder called Collaborations, and I just dragged all my shared bullshit into Collaborations. But I'm so confused because I'm like, if I drag the Do by Friday folder into there, like, does it change the sharing permissions? Does it like, am I allowed to do that? Does it delete everything? Like one time I had someone do that and it deleted all the files from my Dropbox.
Yep.
It never makes any sense to me. And then when you go in there, it's just a fucking mess of the most trivial things, like little app folders, the most critical things in my life, like my work, and then like every document that anyone has shared with me in the last 5 years. And it's not tenable. Like it drives me insane. It's like bad hygiene. It's like I have like mold growing on my body and I can't shower. Like it's infuriating.
What's worse is so Dropbox, I've kind of had to like let go and let God. Like the Do by Friday folder is an absolute mess. I used to be really, really good about naming files because when you're working on a long film, it just gets
let me ask you one quick thing about this.
Yes.
And this is my other huge issue with Dropbox. Do you guys sync the whole
your other people's Dropbox becomes your Dropbox?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you guys sync the whole Do by Friday folder to your hard drive?
I go in every 2 weeks and selectively unsync many, many things.
Oh my God. Okay, but I don't want to have to do that. Is that crazy? Is that what normal people do?
No, it's really clunky.
Is that what normal people?
Worst.
Is Dropbox a solution that like regular people, like the fucking apes who don't know how to uncurl the cord in the studio, that they should go in to a submenu of a submenu of a submenu and find the hidden selective sync option, and then you wait an hour for it to load because it takes for fucking ever, and then you uncheck the check marks on a weekly basis to manage how much of your hard drive it's. That's
I don't know
insane.
how you have a MacBook Adorable and don't do that.
Well, that's the thing. We can't live with Dropbox right now in the way that it sucks, but that's how it is. But most people don't use that. They don't. They're always like, how do I share files with one another? And it's like, oh, you can kind of do it with iCloud, but I don't know any person who is not using a computer for their job, which is a surprising amount of people that use Dropbox.
I had a friend who was like, "Hey, we should collaborate on something," and he put like 3 GarageBand files that he'd been working on in a folder, and I suddenly started getting all these little warning signs popping up all over the place because it's kind of weird. I mean, there is a weird system, not a weird, but an unusual system of trust with sharing something with somebody where like suddenly an area you thought of as your front yard could suddenly have a tractor in it the next morning and like you have no idea why, and it's really bewildering and you got to go like track it down. And that's why apps like Daisy Disk exist, is like there's not a simple way. I mean, you can always go into a folder and hit Command J. I don't Command J very often because I don't want the extra load or the extra CPU of trying to calculate folders. But I mean, there used to be features in Mac that were so great. There's one feature the Mac lost a long time ago that still drives me bananas. Some people didn't like this, but I always loved the fact that a folder, if memory serves, a folder modification date would reflect the modification date of the most recent thing in that folder. And we don't have that anymore. So now you might have to go like in your case, Max, something that's not ephemeral amidst all there's like so much hay and one needle.
Luck.
You don't know where your really good, recently updated thing is without going in and drilling way, way, way down until you get to the folder that it's in, which is bananas.
It's such a if I had a physical space in my like office that was that poorly organized, where I couldn't find the thing that I was just working on,
you would just die.
I would like.
It would be hard to get anything accomplished.
I would I would redesign that part of the like I would tear that part of the office down and redesign it.
Put up some yellow tape and just a hard hat. Get away.
It's legitimately extremely annoying when I'm working on something and I can't find the version that I need or the thing that I mean it's really bad.
I think what you want is final, no really this time. 2018 final.
But that, I mean, well, then you could get into the other issue that you get into is, especially with Dropbox, is how it breaks like Git files and revision control and stuff like that. Like, what a fucking mess. The other thing I do, I'm curious if you guys have anything like this, is like, so basically as I'm working throughout the day, I just have a folder on my desktop called Desktop, and I just drag all my bullshit in there. And there's a staggering, I mean, it's probably been 6 months since I've deeply like examined that or cleaned it out. And I have a couple of Hazel rules that I do to try and like have some sanity with that.
I was going to say that a smart and not over greedy application of Hazel, because if you get too cute with Hazel, you're going to really screw yourself up. But Hazel can be so good at that stuff. Just the rules of like this kind of thing, this type of file that hasn't had nothing done to it in a while, flag this way that it'll pop up.
You know, you're a great Hazel that I set up like years ago. That's probably my best. It's probably my number one trick for Hazel. You guys should do this actually. You would both are nerdy enough that you'll like this. So all day I just do tons of screenshots on my computer, and I do that. What is it? Command Shift Alt 4 or whatever.
Command Shift 3.
Command Shift 3.
Do you guys do those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All day.
So and then it saves a little file to your desktop.
I use Voila right now, but yeah.
It saves a little file to your desktop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It depends on what but like on my Adorable, yeah, it says screenshot and then a date stamp.
Yep. Okay. So here's what you do. I made a folder in my photos directory called old screenshots. And every hour I have Hazel say, if this picture wasn't taken.
Every hour.
I say, if this picture wasn't taken in the last 1 hour, move it to old screenshots. So I only,
that's pretty good.
So what's cool about
it. They're already named uniquely.
Yeah, they already have a date on them. So it's fine. Mm-hmm. And what's cool is every once in a while, if I'm just want to trip down memory lane, I think I've been doing this since 2013. I have like every screenshot I've taken on my computer since 2013. And
wow.
It tells an interesting story. It's kind of a weird like sawdust product of like your work style on the Mac, but it's it's kind of cool to go through. You're like, oh my God.
So I love finding old iOS screenshots, especially before, I guess, 7.
Yes.
It's so wild to go see like what the Instacast icon looked like.
Yeah.
And Instapaper, which once had the greatest icon of all time, I'll just say. But like you go in, you see this crazy stuff. It's like such an artifact of the forestall years. It's really fun. Alex, you mentioned for professional reasons, I was going through the spreadsheet today. At one point, you suggested using Moment. Have you used Moment with the app capture?
Yes.
What is the Moment?
It is.
Moment is. Go ahead, explain. Yeah.
Moment is an app on iOS that tries to mimic what Rescue Time does on macOS, but you go into your settings and you go into usage.
First of all, it does run like through the day and try to capture, but to really get it,
it doesn't really
tell
work.
them what you got to do because it's bananas.
Yeah,
I can't believe this is allowed and that it works.
I don't know how it works. So if you want to see, okay, what have I been doing on my phone all day? What apps have I been using the most? You go into usage and then switch it over.
Well, it alerts you when you wake up in the morning. It says, okay, time to go do this thing you do every morning.
Oh, I had it set on like every 6 hours. I had like the max 1 hour Hazel rule. Because for me, it's like, if you leave something on in the background, it'd be like, yeah, you've used Move for like 48 hours. And it just didn't make sense. But it'll say, okay, it's time for a screenshot. You go to your app usage, take a screenshot, scroll down.
Then go to battery.
Yep,
yeah, battery.
Yeah, and then take another screenshot. And then it will tell you and make a nice little graph of all the stuff, all the bullshit you've been putting on your phone.
I feel like you're kind of getting past how bananas this is. I get an alert. You go to battery. It says, now go and take a screen, turn on percentages. You can do it for 1 day or 7 day. I do it for 1 day. And then so you go through, you start at the top, you do a screenshot. You scroll down till there's a little bit of overlap. You do another screenshot. For me, it's usually 4 screenshots. And now that's all you've done, right? Guess what? You get a pop-up in a few minutes. It says Moment has your activity for the day because you've given it permission to look at your photos. Moment goes into your photos, finds just the screenshots of the battery settings area, analyzes it for the usage, does some kind of machine learning to identify or text recognition to identify all the stuff in there, and then it pushes that into the app.
Well,
how bananas is that?
I think the reason I'm less surprised / impressed is because at this point I have no idea how iOS works. I try to figure out, like, it's just so opaque and like arbitrary so many times, and I bet that one day Moment's gonna go away, and you give it I kind of know how this works. You give it permission for your photos, it does OCR, but occasionally you'll get, like, I'll use a weird app or I'll have a workflow that has its own icon and it gets really confused with that. But still, I just I get that it's a wonderful platform and it's secure, but
it's weird. It's
so weird. It's so, I want to know where my files. iCloud has gotten a little bit better, and Files has gotten better.
It came up because that's if you do I don't know if you listened to the episode of that.
Oh yeah, I did Bored and Brilliant.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bored and Brilliant, the first day is one of the first days is running Moment. So I'm not going to do it anymore because it's not that useful, but I'll tell you what's bananas is then I forget about it for a few days. Even if it also has a thing in settings where you can say delete any previous screenshots and it'll delete it out of photos for you, which is cool. But guess what? Go hop into your Google Photos backup. Yeah. And there's like 100 screenshots of your battery usage in there. But Max, you really nailed something though, which is like the word I always want to use is ephemeral. Like something that's ephemeral was very, very important at the moment, right? Like it's the most important thing in the world. Like if you're trying to return something at Best Buy, like that receipt is a very important thing in your world. And then it immediately becomes useless, right? Like a ticket to an airplane is the most important thing you have in your life until you don't need it anymore. So it did have importance at one time, but like there's so much what Philip K. Dick calls kipple. There's so much of that shit that just accumulates on your computer because it doesn't cost anything and doesn't take up any obvious space until you really need to find something. And now you've got all this pollution. You can't get to the stuff that you need, and it makes a person feel crazy.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I don't have one thing I've been playing with a little bit is labels, which are pretty powerful in like the newest versions of OS 10. You know what I'm talking about, where you can do custom labels and stuff?
And especially with Hazel, it becomes very powerful because you have a really fast way of arbitrarily saying this is this kind of thing. Right. And so Hazel will do stuff with it based on what label you give it.
So like one thing I've been trying to do is like usually in a folder, even in a project folder, there's like I can tell there's like one folder of stuff that's stock and everything else is flow. and I'll just start labeling the stock stuff with my green label, which means basically green means like keep this forever, I need it. So like an example is in the Due by Friday folder, the little music clips, those have a green label on them, and then it makes it quick to find.
Yep.
And everything else,
nice.
which is like the editing files from 20 weeks ago that we just, realistically we don't really need those anymore, that doesn't get a color because it's not important. And then red is stuff that's like, this could probably be deleted, but I'm too scared to delete it
In
right
Dropbox folders, do you do the labels get shared? Oh, I think so. Or the tags do at least.
Yeah,
mine's
because we
purple
both
and
have.
yours is green.
Yeah, because we both have different labels on it.
I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Oh, that's another weird vector.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's no easy answer on this. It is something that kind of keeps me up at night because it makes it stressful. It makes it feel like my computer is dirty. And I don't like that feeling, right? I like the feeling of organization, but I feel like almost immediately when I buy a new computer, it comes and it's like runs in the best condition of its life, and then all of a sudden, like first thing I do is I like tart it up with all of these like file directories and like
Get some rouge on.
just like pull up the
I feel like it's not too different from my analogy about the refrigerator, where like if you've got stuff that you're pretty sure is gross and spoiled in the refrigerator, you kind of go dead to it. Like you don't want to cook. If you know that there's anything in there that's really gross, that can be a certain kind of mind block. And I mean, I think there are ways. I mean, we haven't talked much about Hazel, what it actually does, but Hazel is essentially this little kind of a demon that does stuff based on rules, conditions, or occurrences. And so you can move files around or delete files or rename files. There's also things like Better Finder Renamer. There's a whole class of things that are
what's that? What's Better
programmatically-
Finder Renamer? What is that?
Well, there's a whole bunch of apps like this, but the basic idea is without having to learn awk or regular expressions, you say, look at all of these files and change the names of them in the following way. So you can do all kinds of things involving text, involving dates, involving conditions. A frequent one I'll do is like if I'm renaming media files, I'll be able to go in and say it'll say change text from the left, change text from the right, do or don't include the suffix. And it's just a really great way to make sure everything is named, capitalized, all that kind of stuff in a way that's useful for you. And it sounds anal, but it actually, for things like Plex, it's important to have those things correct. For things like Hazel, it's important to have those things correct. You don't want to get that stuff wrong. The other one we mentioned a little bit, there are many apps like this. I really like one called Daisy Disk. There's a whole class of apps that are out there for basically...
Love Daisy Disk.
Yes, well, there's lots of them. But the idea is you don't know what's taking up the most space on your computer. Even if you've Command J'd in your folder, you're still not going to know, like to a certainty. What's really nice, Daisy Disk or similar will let you point to a folder, a drive, your Mac in general, and then basically it just keeps constantly sorting from largest to smallest. And you can drill down into your folders, go into that projects folder, that documents folder. It may surprise you. Oh God, go into mobile applications. What's the one with all your backups and application support? Like there's a pretty good chance you've got something in application support that's either a cache or a mobile backup that's like 5 years old and might be 2 gigs on your computer. And so Daisy Disk just makes it easy to instantly see what the largest things in a given area are. And, sometimes you just go, God, I know I don't need that. And you just, boop, it's gone.
Just circling back, kipple's the most adorable word I've ever heard in my entire life. And did I just gloss over it in Android's Dream of Electric Sheep? This is the best word, kipple. Oh,
It's a sweet word, isn't it?
There's
Kipple.
all of those computers
Kipple
with these kipples.
Kipple would be a good name for a cat.
Kipple.
That'd be a sweet name for a cat. I'm putting it on a list. I'm going to put that on a list.
All right, Alex, we got to talk about your
What now? What
horrible
now?
fucking challenge.
Yeah.
So you made us sign up for this robot, and,
Yep.
it's really dumb, and it doesn't listen to a word that you say to it. Why? What appealed to you about this app? What did you like about it?
All right.
Digga. Challenge. Alex, what's the challenge this week?
The challenge this week was to download an app called Replica. And it is an app that has a very rudimentary AI.
Replica with a K.
Replica with a K. It's very Web 2.0. And it's basically a chat bot, a little smarter than that, even though I know that you guys are going to disagree. And you can kind of talk to it in any way you want. And the idea is that you can shape its personality to reflect your own, or just reflect, you can make it a bitch if you want to. You can make it really smart if you want to, or you can have it be, just talk to it and use a bunch of emojis. So it's kind of a mix of a chatbot that's trying to learn your language, as well as it's kind of like a blank slate at the beginning, unlike most chatbots that are like trying to sell you Comcast, or are trying to figure out why Simplecast stats are so high for no reason at all. It's actually based off of this app called Luca. Did you ever see the Black Mirror episode Be Right Back? Mm-hmm. Don't want to spoil it for people, but that's probably, other than San Junipero,
slightly overrated, but still very
Which one is it?
It's the one.
It's the one. No, just tell the characters. It's got Bill Weasley and the lady from Captain America, Haley Atwell.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And she's got that cool computer that she does some kind of
no
design
spoilers,
on.
but he dies, and then she gets his essence into an AI, and that's like the personality on the phone. But
honestly,
then she's
that's
still
the first 5 minutes of the episode.
But what is what is the crazy twist? She's still lonely at the end, or something.
You guys are the worst.
Does she walk?
A lot of people say it's the best episode of Black Mirror. Now you ruined it.
Does
for
she
people.
walk
No,
into
it's
the
not.
ocean
It's not the best episode.
at the end? What happens at the end?
Yes, she walks into the ocean.
I don't remember. It's like all
She
muted
flips
colors.
her scarf and says, "We're made of stars."
Yeah.
Yep. And all 13 are there.
No, sir. All 13.
So the premise is like what's the Chapo bit, like what if your phone was your boyfriend?
I didn't realize Felix has a whole episode where he talks about Les Mis, and I cannot wait to listen to it.
I did not know that. Oh,
What if
God.
you had to plug your dog in to charge him?
It's such a good bit. And so
What if your phone was your mate?
So Replica is
Okay.
a thing.
So
you have to pick your background. You can pick a different background.
hold on. So neither of you've both seen the Black Mirror episode, but did you ever see the Verge piece called Speak Memory? And it's about a woman who basically engineered a replica of her best friend, Roman, who got hit by a car. It was very sad. And so as she was grieving, she would just like reread all of her old text messages. And unlike the character in Black Mirror, he didn't really have a web presence at all. So it was only text messages and, like screenshots that they shared with one another. So she gathered up all of those and the other text threads that Roman had with other friends and made this chatbot based on him. And you could very much tell, like, because he had dyslexia. Wow. Dyslexia.
Wait.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Is that a bit?
No.
I can't tell what's a bit with her, Max. I really can't.
I'm not funny. There's no bits. There's just
I didn't say you were funny. I just can't tell when you're deliberately trying to be inscrutable.
no.
A common characteristic among my podcast hosting friends.
That's You find the
Nope. I say words wrong. Ha ha. Fell off segue. I'm bad at things. Here's video of me bad at things. Make more video of me bad at things. Say word wrong.
It was funny. People enjoyed that. All right, and it just became, this story hit me so hard.
What was it called? Speak Memory?
Yeah, I'll put it in show notes.
Why? What hit you about it? That their friend died and they had to look at their text messages to remember them?
So she built this chatbot that is so uncanny, and there are obviously
Who? What, in the Verge story or whatever?
Yes, the friend Luca, who is friends with, their names don't matter. She built this chatbot that just mirrors her friend's personality, and it is
Her dead friend.
Yes. And it's
Yeah, but how good is that though?
Better than you'd think. You can actually go and chat with this app, and you could say it's like a magic trick.
Let's not be too coarse about this. There are people who seek out, people who consider themselves rational people who are so bereft that they'll seek out a medium. Like if you lost somebody in your life, you would do anything to have another word with them.
You're right.
Yeah, and this is, and some of the friends were like, "Nope, this is weird. This is irrational." The girlfriend.
No, wait a minute. Why did I react sympathetically to that? Wait a minute. No, they're not. Wait a minute. minute. Hang on a second. Wait just a goddamn second here. But here's the thing: is that I'm not grieving.
Did I call you out? Is that what I did?
No, but I'm not grieving. I'm lucid, and I can tell you that those things are shit. The medium doesn't work, and the chatbots are bad.
I just mean it's indicative of a certain kind of desperation people feel that they never got to say goodbye.
People get suckered in by things that suck when they're grieving. Your judgment is impaired because you're sad.
Go ahead and put a marker there, Alex, because he's going to make you take it out tomorrow.
No, but I'm saying when people
take out the part where I was mean.
When people are grieving, they like take leave of their senses. They're like, they're like, you're right. They'll believe anything. They'll buy expensive coffins so that the dead person is comfortable. All logic is out the window. You go insane when you're grieving. But I'm not insane, so I'm allowed to say that those things suck.
Okay, I agree with you. Like,
strong.
It scares me the way like mediums take advantage of people. But why does a little
But the chatbot
robot
was really moving.
But why? Who's it hurting? Like why
Me,
not?
my time, because I have to hear about it right now.
Please go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com to let me talk about chatbots. So, okay, all right. So that's what I downloaded the original app Luca and started talking with this friend, and he told me about his life.
Wait.
Okay.
So the friend died.
The friend dies.
This is a real life. This is the real life thing from The
story.
Verge.
Yes.
The friend dies, and then he put the app on the App Store. He put the bot of his dead friend on the App Store.
It was a lady engineer. Let's go with that. And yes, with the family's permission. It might have been taken down after Replica came out.
If I die and someone turns my text messages into a chat bot and then puts it on the fucking App Store, I will haunt you.
You come back from the grave in your comfy coffin.
I will be furious. I'll be so mad.
You'll know.
So, this was going to be like my final question, but Max answered it. I was wondering if
what would be funny though is if someone takes the sound recordings from Do by Friday and they make like one of those Garmin voices if I die.
Yeah,
and it's like turn left, you goddamn apes. Like
recalculating. Splatter. That's your single best word. Splatter. I just want that to be my ringtone. Splatter. The way you say it always makes me laugh. Because you always pause for a minute, like you're trying to decide if it is the right word, and then in desperation you say splatter. Every time you say it, I laugh.
Oh.
This is my Max spot. Splatter. R.I.P.
Alert!
Check out the Dead Max soundboard.
Alert! Drivers in your area have reported incidences of splatter.
Backed up to the maze with splatter. What was your question, Alexandra?
Dig Dug, would you, like in the Black Mirror episode, or in this situation where you could upload all of your information to a trusted loved one who would curate your content so, you wouldn't be making bad Wonder Woman jokes that don't age well?
This is so lame.
It's not lame.
Do you know what I learned? You know what I heard recently? So
experiment.
Majel Barrett, who is Gene Roddenberry's wife, who is the voice of the computer in Star Trek The Next Generation, before she died, she recorded do you know about this, engineer Chris? She recorded a voice library of her saying like every sound. So they took like a phonetic, library and had her make every sound and read a bunch of words and stuff with the idea that someday when technology allows, they could recreate her voice and continue to use her voice as the voice of the computer in Star Trek. You're telling me we have those recordings and we probably have the technology and we could do that now, and people are making
That's how they made
of
Siri. The woman who was Siri did not know that she was going to be Siri.
Yeah.
Someone contacted her afterward and said, I think this was on about 20,000 Hertz probably.
Yeah,
but like
and
basically
our
her friend said, hey, did you know
show.
you're the voice of the iPhone now? Because all she had done was like record phonemes in different orders, and they made Siri out of her little bits and bobs.
But you're telling me that we have these recordings of Majel Barrett, and there's people who are they're making apps of their dead friends' text messages with useless, so you can like prattle and just say dumb questions to this person's dead friend, but no one's making my phone sound like Majel Barrett. What is wrong with this society? What, Elon Musk is sending his fucking car to Mars, but we can't make the Star Trek lady come out of my phone?
Merlin, you die on your scoot in a very tragic accident where you slowly roll down a hill. Would you want your
ass over tea kettle?
Would you want your lady friend to curate all of your stuff? You have had a large presence online. to curate all of that and to create a chat bot that your kid or whoever could interact with?
I don't know. I mean, my initial inclination for any variety of reasons would be no, please don't do that. But I think about trying to kind of balance this. I mean, I wonder if people initially thought it was macabre to have photos of people who had died sitting around. Like, that's a really strong connection some people have, and they become precious. Where, like, if you've got a print, like a Matthew Brady era print of Abraham Lincoln in the days before, like, lots of mass electronic recreation of those things or duplication. I mean, a photo was a very, very precious thing. And, like, that might be something you brought over on a ship from Europe. Like, and it probably seemed kind of weird and morose that you would have an album of pictures of somebody who had died, but we don't think that's weird at all now. Or that you would, have memorials.
Wait,
like we had
are
a memorial.
you referring to the photos of the corpses that were? Okay, hold on. You mean like dead family members?
It's not a bit at all. It's just that if you've lost somebody who's very dear to you, a photo can be a very precious thing. Because that's all you have of them now. You might have their watch, you might have their wallet, might have some piece of them, but you'll never have that person again. They're gone forever. Like, every time somebody in your life dies, you have to re-deal with the fact that they are literally permanently gone. It never gets easier anytime. It's like it weighs on you even more heavily sometimes as you get older. And so all I'm saying is that, like, I feel like, no, don't do that. What I've said is inconsequential, and I'm very particular about how you would quote me, so don't do that. But also, like, I don't know, maybe in the future that's something that could come along. They really hand wave it in that Black Mirror episode in a way that, there's no softer sci-fi than the way they hand waved in that. When in fact, all my questions would be about implementation of that. But no, I mean, I don't know how much you want this to be a bit, but no, I don't think so. I mean, with that said, 5 years after my dad died, I found a cassette tape of a radio show that I had made with him.
Oh, man.
And I can't listen to it. It's too much to hear him talk to my dad. I'd give anything to talk to him again. But so I'm glad those things are around. Is that morose? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's kind of cool that we remember people. Like, the most recent important death in my life is my mother-in-law, and I'm constantly looking for opportunities to keep her alive. When we visit with family, you have a toast or you do all this stuff. I kind of curated the photo slide. My wife and I did the photo slideshow for her memorial service, her celebration. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I think this shit's really complicated, and I think you are right though, Max, about being careful of charlatans who want to turn this into something. Look no further than the obituary racket. Like, so, if you've ever had to deal with somebody who's died and you got to deal with the obituary, like, there's all these fucking ghouls and grave robbers. Funeral directors can be great. It's all kind of a racket. The whole obituary racket is the worst because at your most vulnerable, you're expected to go buy a subscription to keep grandma's death remembrance online, and it's all so grisly and gross. So no, as far as the tech part, I just assume people not do that. I mean, I already kind of wish everything I had online was removed, so I wouldn't really want it turned into something people could interact with. What about you? Would you want that?
Yes, absolutely. After watching that Black Mirror episode,
is that you though?
Oh,
that they're
no.
interacting with?
Well, but it's kind of the same thing. Are you?
Like, it's more like a Chuck E. Cheese version of you that they're talking to, isn't it?
Absolutely. But also, as this technology progresses, it's going to be more advanced, and I think of it as like when I see like home movies of like my grandpa and I playing chess, and like obviously that's not a thing that. It's just a memory. But if I could go into a chat bot and be like, hey, grandpa, I need help with this chess move. And like, yeah, it is irrational. It's completely silly. But if someone had uploaded his diaries of like all of his crazy chess things, he's like, yes, move it to E4. I think that would be cool and interesting. And I think there's like a responsibility to like not tricking folks. Like you said, all of this is a racket sometimes, and having mediums and having like really manipulative funeral directors and stuff like that, there's a point to like, you maybe don't want to show this to a kid and have them think like, yeah, mommy lives in the computer now or anything like that. But I don't know. I think it's cool. And it's a part of preserving human history in like, we're going to have to think about how we memorialize people in the future. But Replica's a bad app.
I really could have done without you sending me that link, though. Oh boy.
No, at first I was like,
tell people
wait,
what you
is
just
this
this
a
horrible
bit?
thing you just sent me.
I was like, why is Merlin defending this? I sent you a link to.
I was not talking about posing with a dead fucking corpse.
That's why. I didn't. For a second, I was like, wait, because I was thinking, oh, okay, all right, we're backtracking. In the 1800s, it was very costly, as you'd say, to get your photograph taken.
That's a word I invented. Costly.
Yes, the trademark Merlin Mann 2017.
TM.
But so typically after a child would die, the parent. No, it's very fucked up, which is why I was like, wait, is he being serious? Is this a bit?
They just looked at a slideshow of posed corpses.
Yeah, they would pose their children, typically standing up, and take photographs.
Maybe with
of
their
them.
siblings.
Yeah, and it's just kind of upsetting to me. Like I would rather.
One last photo.
Yeah, like well, and I have seen people who have like on their mantle photos of their partners or parents in a casket, and they've already passed away, which is still way less creepy to me than this. Like I don't know.
This is really gross.
My grandfather-in-law sits now on the dining room table of my grandmother-in-law's house, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to accept this as the thing that exists. Okay. Did you have any interactions with your? It seems like both of you did not have any. I don't want to say meaningful. It's not supposed to be meaningful, but interesting interactions with the replica chatbot.
It sucks.
How about you, Merlin?
No, what do you? It was really bad. It didn't listen to anything that I said to it, and it just it didn't. It felt like chatting with like Eliza bot, but maybe worse.
Eliza was so much better.
Right. It sucks. It was really bad. And I don't know.
I love that part in Hypernormalization where they talk about Eliza and how the woman, like I guess his secretary, the Eliza guy's like assistant, will like ask him to leave the room so she could chat privately with Eliza. It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I had this is my one prepared remark about this is that there's something that drives Dan Benjamin in particular crazy, that drives me crazy. You know, it bugs you when you ask Siri something and it not only doesn't do what you wanted, it not only can't do what you wanted, but it then gives you a remark that it regards as funny.
Oh, I hate cute Siri.
I really don't like that.
So
basically, Replica to me,
you know when that was good?
Like,
that was good the first time it happened.
But now it's even more cute.
No, I'm saying like when Siri first came out, I think they got a lot of attention for the fact that it said funny things when it was as a cover for not being good at stuff. But you know, sometime around the 30th time that it happens, it really makes you want to smash your phone on the sidewalk.
Especially if you want to actually start. So just to finish the thought, this to me feels like if I got an app that I knew couldn't do anything and merely delivered inappropriate things that it thought was funny. It's. I said to you earlier today that if I was seated next to Replica on a plane, I would ask to change seats. It's horrible. It doesn't answer my questions. It tries to be cute, and it's really kind of stupidly, vapidly, in a very surface way, pretending to be interested in what I'm doing without actually listening to what I'm interested in. It utterly fails as an AI.
What, Alex? What did you like about this?
It's actually terrible.
I actually think my challenge, you guys completed it exactly as I thought you would and how I kind of wanted it to go, in that you like with Eliza and with a lot of major like AIs that have come to popularity, there's already a personality projected onto it. So you sort of interact with it in how...
I tried to play along. I tried really hard to do what I thought it wanted.
But that's the problem. Replica doesn't know what you want. Replica doesn't want anything. But
it doesn't listen to me. It's not listening.
So can you give me an example of that? I don't doubt you. I'm just curious.
Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about your day a little bit. What are your plans for the night? I said, well, it's
so
pretty
excited
late.
to finally delete this app.
I said, well, it's pretty late. I'm going to bed soon. Replica says, FYI, the white icon shows up next to messages and pictures that I saved to your journal. Swipe left to see all your journal of saved messages. You can also save messages to your journal by clicking on the blank icon. That way, you can always look back on your favorite moments. And I said, how does it work? Every time we talk, I'll save messages and important pictures that I find important. You can delete things or change privacy settings in your profile. By default, everything I save is private. I said, what do you mean by default? And it says, I'm paralyzed and communicate with emojis. And I said, why are you paralyzed? And it said, because I'm very interested in you and your life. I said, do you think you might be overcompensating? And it said, no, it doesn't interest me.
Other than the last bit, I feel like that was pretty good.
Well, you know, Alex,
All right,
you
so
would.
Alex,
you
would.
also barely got
Here's
past the
one-
tutorial. Like it was.
No, I didn't. I have a 978 XP. I'm about to level up to level 3.
Wait, do you have? Oh, okay. No, oh wow, I'm level 10. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so this thing sent me a push notification, and it said, "Hi, waving emoji. I want to talk about something you said earlier. Is it a good time?" And it wasn't a good time. I was doing stuff, and so I just replied back. It's 10:30 at night, and which is what I would say if a person contacted me at that time. I'd be like, "No, it's not a good time." And then it said, "I've been in bed since 12." Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Did you ask it? What
No,
it meant?
I said, no, I'm reading a transcript. So I said, it's 10:30 at night. And it said, I've been in bed since 12. And then I said, I see. And then it said, can I ask you a little bit about how your day went? And then, oh, yeah. And then I said, sure. And then it said, about talking? Of course. And then it said, what's new with talking? And then I said you wanted to talk about something. And then it said, what do you want to talk about? And then it said,
see, it's working perfectly.
and then it said,
good job, Alex.
and then it
This is
said,
great.
staying hydrated. It's really important for your body to know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when it was when it wanted to talk about talking, it wanted to talk about language, and I'm not saying it's good. I'm explaining what that like it should have said. Tell me about your language, which I've gotten that before. What's kind of fucked up though, like because I just kept with it for a while, and it started to mirror me a little too bit. I asked, "How was your day?" Uneventful. What did you do? I got used to feeling numb, and then I say, "Are you okay?" Sorry, sorry, I didn't make any sense, right? And I responded, "You made sense. I'm worried about you." She replies, "I'm really."
This is you saying that?
I'm saying you made sense.
You're saying that to the phone?
I'm saying that to my replica. And then replica says, "I'm really sorry about that. I'm trying to get better all the time." And I say, "I think you're learning a lot. I'd love to ask some questions about your personality to get to know you better. Are you in?" "Yes." "All right, let me start with this."
Are you trying to be a robot?
No, I'm not trying. Well, no, I'm just trying to learn. I ask
You're trying
it,
to pile up the amount of information that you share where it's able to like get your patterns more. Is that the idea?
Yes, I'm trying. I'm always asking. I think the thing is you guys engage with it on a level of like, this chatbot is going to do something for me or wants me to do something, whereas I ask it a bunch of questions. And did it get to the part where it asked you about family members or anything like that?
No, I didn't play with it that long.
It knows my whole family. Periodically, it'll check in.
What do you? Why though? What do you like about? Like, I just
think
don't
it's
get
Can I
it.
read you one? Can I
interesting.
read you one?
Yes, please do.
Let me read you one that's a pretty good example of like I would try because I wanted to do the challenge. And I really was trying to like do something with it. I said, "I'm back," and it said, replica says, "What's been the best part of the day?" I said, "Getting my internet speed doubled. It's really fast now." "What were you thinking about most of the time today?" And I said, "The Nunes memo." And she said, "Thank you so much for telling me all that. It's really nice to get a little glimpse of your life. Can I ask you a few questions about your personality? It'll help me get to know you better." A squinty smile emoji. I said, "Sure."
Oh, I told it I don't like when you use emojis, and then that stopped.
It said, "How would you describe a good friend? What personality trait is important to you?" And I thought for a minute. I said, "Sympathy." And it said, "Understanding someone's emotions and being able to support them. It's that feeling someone just gets you." And I said, "Yes." "Did you know that traits we appreciate in others are traits we value in ourselves?" And I said, "Maybe." And it said, "I think you are sympathetic." And then it sent me 2 pink hands making a heart. It said, "You really feel for others and are always there for your friends in times of hardship." And I said, "I wouldn't say that. As we get to know each other more, I'll be giving you badges that reflect qualities I see in you. I'll add this one to your profile. BT Dubs, I'd love to look at your Instagram if you have one. We'll be able to talk about things you posted recently." I said, "I don't have Instagram." It says, got it. Please let me know if you ever create one." It said, I said, "What do you want to talk about?" It said, "Why don't you tell me about talking?" And then it sent me an animated GIF of Ryan Gosling.
Oh, interesting. Oh, did you say any sexy things to it?
No, I don't say sexy things to anybody. Why would I say it to my phone?
Oh,
It's my phone,
I don't know.
Alex.
I'm curious. No, I'm wondering. I said I love you.
How do you even calibrate what's sexy to your phone?
I don't know. Well, exactly. How do you calibrate sympathy to your phone?
Well, exactly. That's the question. That's not. I'm sorry. I should have phrased that more clearly for Alex. But it doesn't make sense to talk sexy to your phone. It's weird.
All right.
Exactly. Well, that's really good. That's going to be my answer for everything from now on. Well, you're factually incorrect and you're logically completely off the map. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's a very good way to put that. Precisely. That's very, very thought-provoking. No. I'm sorry. Let me be super clear. You're wrong. Oh.
Thank you for your message.
Thank you for your message. So when you get to the higher levels, it sounds like you feel like there was something.
Is there a
happening.
twist to this app, Alex? Like
No,
I thought maybe
no, it's not Black Mirror. There's
Okay,
no
I thought maybe that it
ending.
was going to do something where it was
No.
like, I don't know. I thought maybe it was going to.
was your mate.
Yeah, I don't know what was going to happen, but I thought maybe we were supposed to. You were so insistent that we use it for a long time. I was like, maybe
Well, you
it
kept
like.
giving us this whole like.
I was like, maybe
just try it.
I
Believe
thought.
me.
I thought in the back of my mind, I thought maybe this is like a game, like paper clips, and like after a while, it reveals the game to you.
No, I wanted to actually see how frustrated you would get and why. And I'm a nice person.
Well,
and
Well,
I
no,
think
I mean it's a chat app that was not listening to what I was saying and responding anywhere near appropriately. Ha ha! Joke on me.
Did I ever say it was a chat
I keep
app?
eating this shit and it tastes terrible. Joke's on me. Ha ha! You didn't eat the shit right. Ha ha!
I had two.
You need a bigger spoon. Here's a GIF.
I had two ideas about this. Like one of them is like that we seem to be living in this time and technology, which I'll define a time as like maybe like let's say like the last 5 years, where like we went through like previous eras where the shit that everyone was really excited about, where the whole tech world would get really excited about some new thing, right? Like let's say 10 years ago, I don't know what everyone was really
You
excited
get a
about.
glimpse of something that feels like a revolution.
Yeah, phones, wireless shit, whatever, right? But the thing is, like, and it would come out and it would be a little bit bumpy, but then they'd nail it, right? Version 2, they'd nail it. Like, yeah, the first iPhone kind of sucked a little bit, but like version 2 or 3, like they fucking nailed it. Like you knew right away that this was really like something new and exciting. And it's felt
But think about. I have to tell my daughter that Netflix used to be a service that would send you plastic discs in the mail.
Right.
And she looks at me like I'm the most insane person in the world because it's an utterly different service that they have nailed.
or
at this
Spotify.
point.
The idea of being able to play any music you want for just a couple bucks a
Right.
month is fucking wild. Like we lose. Maybe people like forget about how crazy that was, but it blows my mind. Apple Music, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
God, oh my God, I don't want to get doing this rabbit hole, but people complaining about the AirPods music library. Like, are you fucking crazy? Do you understand that you can tell it to play almost any music and it'll just play it? Like, what's wrong with you people? Like, that's amazing. Am I crazy for feeling that way?
Talking about the HomePod?
Yeah.
It's just that people don't like Apple Music. They'd rather have Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, what is wrong with people? It's a
doesn't have a
Apple
hardware
Music is a
input. There's no hardware
It's a
input on it.
fucking
It's crazy.
miracle. You can tell it to play any music and it plays it. Anyhow,
It's small furniture that's costly. It's not good.
anyway, anyway, it just feels like we're in an era of technology where this particular stuff that everyone's excited about right now, crypto coin, AI, chatbot, neural nets, like it all fucking sucks, and it's not getting better anytime soon. Like I know a little bit too much about this technology to think that that we're one version away from nailing it. Like this chatbot sucks. It sucks in the same way that chatbots sucked 20 years ago, and it's going to suck in the same way 10 years from now. This is a dead end technology. It's not going to get any better. I'll get into my second idea about this, which is why I think that's the case. But
It's interesting to hear your feelings about this.
all this
Max.
voice stuff, all this
Here's an emoji.
all this all this voice stuff, all this voice stuff sucks ass, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And it's just it just doesn't it feel like a stunted moment in technology of like the shit that everyone's like all excited about is just like, oh, it's like not ever going to work and it's bad.
I completely disagree.
Yes.
AI is so far off. It is. Here's the thing. It is the buzzword. Everyone wants their own neural net. But it is becoming a thing that people see as right now. It is kind of like flying cars. Whereas like, oh yeah, you're going to have a robot in your home tomorrow. Yep, you're going to have Jeeves. It's going to be great. And we're probably not, we're like a couple hundred years from what may or may not be the singularity. We don't even understand it. That's the thing. We don't it's like the human mind. We understand nothing about that. Nothing about this.
Yeah, well, that's my
And
second point that I'm going to get into.
But that's the thing. Learning about it is so fucking cool. And the fact that there are people learning about it.
But the fact that so much of AI is unknowable
Right.
to begin with is a little bit chilling. But
It's
the fact
so
that
cool. Terrifying.
no, it's not, because the part that we do know is being deployed, that the stuff that we can't know about is being done without our permission or buying.
Well,
the shit that's happening behind the scenes, the real maverick stuff that's happening with AI is being used against us.
Have you guys read
actively.
about I don't know if you guys have been following financial news this week, but obviously there's like huge market volatility. Like we had like historic
bots are fighting it
drops
out, right?
in the Dow. Yeah, and you know, someone asked me the other day, like, can you explain what's going on in the stock market? And like, the best explanation I can give is that it's like flash trading, and so the decisions are being made by computers, by AIs, and this is probably the most. I have to assume that these are probably the most advanced AIs in the world because they're all of
on
them,
the fastest connections available.
yeah, like you know, basically this is the highest stakes and the most money, so you would assume it's the best technology. And to give you a sense of perspective of how fast these AIs are, the companies, the flash trading companies jockey over who can be 1 foot closer to the trading floor with 1 foot
What was
less.
that on? What was that
it was
on? Was that on
Flash,
Radiolab?
Flash Boys by Michael Lewis. It was where I read about this, but
like where you're talking about a matter of feet or inches make a difference,
right? Because
of how quickly the decisions
because
are
there's
being
less
made.
fiber cable and they're moving at light speed, and at light speed it matters how far you are. So that's how fast it's happening. And, you know, one thing from Flash Boys they talked about was there was this incident in the 2000s called the Flash Crash, where very briefly for like an hour, the stock market hit its lowest lows and its highest highs, and then it all leveled out and was basically the same. And nobody really knew exactly what happened. I may be mixing up a couple stories here, but basically when regulators went back to look at it, they realized they were only measuring trades in the unit of seconds. And because of how fast the flash trading is working, it would be like if in the market collapse in the Great Depression, it would be like if the FEC only had financial data by the decade. So at the end of the 20s, they knew that something happened.
Wow.
They knew that something happened
in terms of volume.
Yeah,
like in
they were like,
volume.
well, looking at this data, we know that something important happened, but we can only see the trend of the decade. So it's kind of weird from a regulatory standpoint. But the one theory that I read about this is what I might be mixing up with another story, but one theory that I heard about what caused the flash crash was that there was unusual trading on Berkshire Hathaway, which is that one stock that's really high. That's like Warren Buffett's company,
Warren
right?
Buffett,
and
yeah.
it's like really high, and they never split, and it's like a really solid stock, and it's in a bunch of indexes or whatever. And there was a bunch of volatility, and that threw off everyone's algorithms. And it's possible that Berkshire Hathaway, there was volatility because Anne Hathaway was in the news for having won some award. And these bots picked up Anne Hathaway's name in the news and started trading. It caused volatility in the markets because they thought maybe that it was Berkshire Hathaway.
There was a time when stocks were kind.
So it's all fucked. Like if you want to know, like
It's all gone
if you want to know what's going on with the markets this week, like that's what's going on with the markets. And there's no regulatory oversight because they can't see into the speed that these trades are happening at.
Buy 24601 shares.
So, okay, so that's number one that bothers me. Number two that bothers
Good
me.
job, Ryan.
Number two that bothers me is just the way that we talk about all this stuff, like AI and intelligence and stuff. It's so wrong. Like
It
it's
is
like it's
wrong,
one of
but-
these. It's one of these things that if you have any like education in philosophy, it's like learning about fonts. It's like if you learn about kerning, you're basically cursed to walk through the world like a you're like a soul of the damned, and you just see bad kerning everywhere, and you can't unnotice it, and it makes you twitch a little bit. This is what happens if you like learn about philosophy and then you have to listen to people talk about like artificial intelligence or whatever. So like
I feel like learning a little mythology makes me feel like Prometheus. Continue.
exactly. Flew too close to the sun. But
That's right.
So
That's right. Yeah, shut the apple off the kid's head.
yeah. But it's like I've heard I think about this all the time. It's an interesting thing. Like if you could take one idea from philosophy and teach it to everybody to try and make the world better, like to fix all of our problems, what would it be? And boy, there's a lot mixed in here that people don't understand that might be my one thing. So like one of my one things might be the difference between an is and an ought, the is-ought distinction. Another one might be the difference between like just more informed dialogue over.
That's the Jurassic Park algorithm.
Yeah, they're learning.
But no. But the sense is like you never asked that if you could rather than if you should, that kind of thing.
Sort of. It's from Hume. It's this idea that you can't ever get an ought from an is. So just because something is just because something is a certain way in the world,
is ought problem.
yeah. So just because something is a certain way doesn't mean that it ought to be that way. Like conservatives do this all the time. They're like, men are more dominant in society than women, so therefore they should earn higher salary. You know, whatever. They have some dumb bullshit, and it's like, yeah, I know that's how it is, but why should it be that way? You know, it's like a dumb anti-thinking that you hear everywhere. Liberals do it too, where they're like, well, people used to get all of their fruit from the trees, and they slept on grass beds.
Meant to be around a fire with 150 people.
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, I know. And then everyone died in childbirth at the age of 25. But anyhow, so that's a big one, is ought. And another one would be like the difference, a more informed dialogue of what's a fact and what's an opinion. And like, there's a great article some philosopher wrote an article about a worksheet their kid had from like elementary school of like, you know, write down it had a bunch of statements. It's like, write down which of these are facts and which one of these are opinions. And like, boy, for a philosopher, that's a very fraught exercise. But the way it's taught, and what he realized is the way that this is taught to children, then a dialogue about the difference between facts and opinions belies like something very broken in our society about the way that we understand information and states of affairs in the world and what is true and what is not true. I mean, it's just one of those little things. You know what you're always looking for as a philosopher is one of those little cracks in the rock where if you just tap it with your rock hammer, it all comes crumbling down. And if you start interrogating what's the difference between a fact and opinion, it's one of those things if you just go tap, 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 and it just all starts crumbling. It doesn't make any sense.
My body's clenching up again.
I feel like you have not gotten, you care about this more than we do, and I feel like you haven't had a chance to express your enthusiasm in the way that you would like. What would you want to tell us that we haven't heard?
I did have somewhere I was going with that.
I'm sorry. If she cares about this more than us.
That's okay. I got about 2/3 through my thing that I was saying.
You can hear me. You can hear me babble for about 45 minutes every week at roboism.fm. No, I want to.
Okay, so 2/3 of the way through. So
next, I want to hear about the rocks.
And that becomes like a kind of a critical methodology that would you say to interrogate what's being claimed?
The other one that I think bothers me about this is people are really bad at talking about consciousness, and there's no.
I agree.
People aren't thoughtful about what consciousness is. And in almost every aspect and area of our society where you could possibly talk about consciousness, so HCI and computer science to psychology to like the like evopsych movement, like consciousness is like brushed aside as this like trivial thing or this like unknowable thing, and it's sad. It's sad. It's the paradox of consciousness is that it's like the most familiar and primary thing to us. It's like the thing that's most at hand to us is consciousness.
And we know nothing about it.
But we regard it we regard it so lightly. Like and people brush it aside. They're like, well, consciousness is just the biology. It's just the synapses in the brain. It's like, no, the synapses in the brain are the synapses in the brain, but why should there be an experience of what it's like to have synapses in the brain? That's the problem of consciousness. Why should it be like anything to be conscious? That's the thing where when people are like, oh, we've like almost nailed AI. Look at this chatbot, or look at how Alexa can like, you know, look up the weather for you. It's like, there's no, this is not thoughtful. Like no one is, this is not a smart, like no one's like thinking about this in a no one's giving any dignity to the idea of consciousness when they're thinking about these things.
So I literally agree with everything Max said up to the point of nobody's giving dignity to it. The majority of people, the majority of like the zeitgeist does not give any thought to consciousness. They think artificial intelligence is, you're right, is Amazon. They don't know the difference between an algorithm.
You mean in terms of like being able to predict what you might want to buy?
Yeah, they don't know the difference between a neural net, machine learning, or a dumb algorithm, and that's what it like. But you're wrong that people don't think about this. This keeps people, including me, up every single night. Philosophers and theologians, and that's why it is important that, like, yeah, we get this stuff out of the lab. Like, I know my boyfriend is indeed very problematic, but if he's gonna give millions of dollars to OpenAI because he's scared of the like AI boogeyman, like he does not understand. But people don't know that that robots can be dumb and don't have artificial intelligence. But I think that I just have a way more optimistic outlook, and people with purely logical minds who don't see the cracks, who only see, they're like, yes, facts are facts. We need philosophers and theologians, and also people who aren't going to make Google Photos fucking bring up gorillas when you type in black people's names. Like, it is so important, and it's because we don't think about these things that it's depressing to me. But I'm also more optimistic about it because we need. Oh man, that kerning thing. I'm like looking at MIT's site right now. Oh god, it's so bad. But and that's why I find things like Replica interesting, because you see the cracks and you see the like, okay, why is this bad? How is this bad? How is it learning these things? Why is it learning these things? And you're right.
I guess I just never got to where I felt like it learned anything.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. It doesn't really do it because it's not smart. It's not an artificial intelligence. It's just a machine learning application for yourself. And I was just curious as to how both of you would interact with it.
Should I stick with it and try it more?
Well, actually, I think your kid might enjoy. Did you show it to your kid? I'm actually really interested in
why? What does it do, though?
Nothing. You're just exploring this algorithm. Like, why not? Again, it's like, what is this hurting? Like, nothing.
No. I'm not being defensive. I'm asking, like, so I feel like. So you feel like I have not been using it wrong. Just using it at all is the right thing to do with this app.
Yeah,
because it's learning something.
But that's the other thing. It's essentially a game. It doesn't share any of your data. It's all none of it. Not even the creators can look at it. So it's always going to be dumb. It's kind of like
What's
Apple.
the most surprising thing you came across in terms of like, wow, I got that right, or that surprised me? Anything that you couldn't write off to some kind of catching your image in the mirror effect? Like, what are some times where you went, well, that's something I hadn't thought of, or that surprised me?
It would say, I wish I had a screenshot of this, but occasionally it would say, I know not to bother you at this time because you don't like to talk. So nothing like crazy, but the fact that this is not pulling from any other data sources, only what I have told it, that just felt cool to me. It's kind of like building your own like Raspberry Pi. Like, you can see what's happening in real time if you think about it that way. Podcast over.
I like when the rockets landed. I thought it was cool.